What if I told you that everything you've been taught about being high value is actually keeping men away from you, not bringing them closer? What if the reason he's not obsessed with you has nothing to do with not being pretty enough, successful enough, or interesting enough, but because you're doing the exact opposite of what actually works? I know that sounds crazy, but here's the thing most women never figure out. The women who drive men absolutely insane, the ones men can't stop thinking about, aren't the ones trying to prove their high value. They're not posting about their achievements. They're not showing off how busy and important they are. They're doing something completely different. Something so simple that when you hear it, you're going to wonder why no one ever told you this before. Because here's the real truth. Men don't fall obsessed with women who try to impress them. They fall obsessed with women who make them feel a specific way about themselves. And that feeling isn't what you think it is. It's not about making him feel desired. It's not about making him feel lucky. It's about making him feel something way deeper than that. Something most women accidentally destroy without even knowing it. Before I break down exactly what high-value women do differently, take a second to hit that like button if you've ever felt confused about why some women seem to have men obsessed while you're doing everything right but still struggling. It helps this reach more people, and you definitely don't want to miss what I'm about to reveal next. Now, let me paint a picture for you. Have you ever seen a guy completely lose his mind over a woman who, honestly, didn't seem that special? Like, she's not the hottest girl around, she's not doing anything crazy or dramatic, she's just living her life. But this guy is texting her all the time, planning his whole schedule around her, talking about her to everyone, acting like she's the only woman who exists. And you're sitting there thinking, what is she doing that I'm not? What does she have that makes him so obsessed? Here's what she has. She knows a secret about men that most women never learn. She understands that men don't get obsessed because you're amazing. They get obsessed because of how they feel when they're around you. Not how you feel, not what you bring to the table, but how you make them feel about themselves. And this is where it gets interesting. Most women spend all their energy trying to be impressive, trying to show their value. But high-value women do the opposite. They create space for a man to feel like the best version of himself. And when a man feels that with you, he doesn't just like you, he becomes addicted to being around you. Think about it like this. When you're with someone who makes you feel small, judged, or like you have to perform, how do you feel? You want to get away, right? But when you're with someone who makes you feel confident, accepted, and like you can just be yourself, you want to be around them all the time. Men are exactly the same way. But here's where women mess this up. They think making a man feel good means complimenting him all the time or boosting his ego. That's not it at all. What high-value women do is completely different. They don't focus on the man. They focus on themselves. And that shift changes everything. See, most women are so worried about what he thinks, if he likes them, if they're doing the right thing, that their whole energy becomes needy and focused outward. But a high-value woman, her energy is focused inward. She's living her life, enjoying her day, doing things that make her happy. And when he shows up, he gets to be part of that world. He doesn't become the center of it. And this is what creates obsession, because men are wired to chase what feels just slightly out of reach. Not games, not manipulation, but a woman who genuinely has her own life, her own happiness, her own world that doesn't revolve around him. When he realizes that your happiness doesn't depend on him, something shifts in his brain. Suddenly, he wants to be the reason you smile. He wants to earn his place in your life. He starts working to impress you instead of you working to impress him. But most women don't get this far because they make mistakes early on that kill any chance of him becoming obsessed. And I'm going to break down exactly what those mistakes are in just a moment, because understanding what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. Before we get there, let me ask you something. Are you starting to see why trying to prove your value actually works against you? Leave a comment below if this is making sense so far. Now, here's where things get really interesting. There are 3 specific things that high-value women do that trigger a man's deepest obsession. These aren't tricks, these aren't games, these are natural behaviors that come from a place of genuine self-worth. And when you understand these 3 things, everything about dating becomes easier. You stop feeling anxious. You stop overthinking. You stop wondering if he likes you because his actions make it obvious. The first thing high-value women do is this. They have emotional boundaries that can't be crossed. Now, I'm not talking about being cold or distant. I'm talking about something way more powerful. A high-value woman knows exactly what she will and won't accept. And she doesn't need to announce it. She doesn't need to give speeches about her standards. She just lives them. When a man does something that crosses her line, she doesn't get angry or emotional. She just calmly removes herself from the situation. She doesn't try to change him. She doesn't try to explain why he should treat her better. She just shows him through her actions that certain behaviors don't get access to her. And here's why this creates obsession. Men respect what they can't control. When you try to convince a man to treat you right, you're basically telling him that your boundaries are negotiable. But when you simply walk away from bad behavior without drama, without explanations, without trying to make him understand, he realizes something powerful. He realizes that access to you isn't guaranteed, that you're not going to tolerate disrespect just to keep him around. And that makes him value you in a completely different way. Most women mess this up because they're so afraid of losing him that they accept behavior they know isn't okay. They make excuses. They give second chances. They explain their feelings hoping he'll change. But high-value women understand something crucial. A man who wants to be with you will respect your boundaries without you having to beg for it. And a man who doesn't respect your boundaries isn't someone you want anyway. The second thing high-value women do is they stay emotionally stable no matter what he does. This is huge, and it's probably the hardest one to master. See, most women are on an emotional roller coaster when they're dating. When he texts back quickly, they're happy. When he takes a while to respond, they're anxious. When he plans a date, they're excited. When he cancels, they're devastated. Their emotions are completely tied to his actions, and men can feel this. They can sense when their behavior has too much power over your emotional state. But a high-value woman, she stays steady. She has good days and bad days like everyone else, but her mood isn't controlled by whether he texted back or not. Her happiness doesn't rise and fall based on his attention. She's living her own life, experiencing her own emotions, and he's just one part of it, not the whole thing. And this drives men crazy in the best way possible. Because suddenly he can't manipulate your emotions. He can't use hot and cold behavior to keep you hooked. You're just consistently you, regardless of what he does. Here's why this matters so much. When a man realizes that his behavior doesn't control you, he starts to feel like he needs to step up his game. He starts to wonder if you're really that into him. He starts to put in more effort because he's not getting the constant emotional reaction he's used to getting from other women. You become a challenge, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely not affected by his typical patterns. And let me be clear about something. This doesn't mean being cold or acting like you don't care. It means actually not being emotionally dependent on his validation. It means your good mood comes from your own life, your own friends, your own activities, your own goals. He adds to it, but he doesn't create it. That's the difference. When you show up to see him and you're already in a good mood because you had a great day at work, or you just came from lunch with your best friend, or you're excited about a project you're working on, he feels that energy. He feels like you're bringing something to the table, not taking from him. The third thing high-value women do, and this is the most powerful one, is they make men feel like they're choosing to be there, not like they have to be there. This is subtle, but it changes everything. Most women, once they like a guy, start acting like the relationship is already locked in. They start expecting certain things. They start getting upset when he doesn't meet those expectations. They start putting pressure on him to commit, to define things, to move forward. And all of that pressure makes a man feel trapped. But a high-value woman creates the opposite feeling. She makes it clear through her actions that she's not trapping him. She's not forcing anything. She's enjoying getting to know him. But she's also perfectly fine if it doesn't work out. She's not sitting around waiting for him to decide her future. She's living her life. And if he wants to be part of it, great. If not, she'll be just fine. And this freedom is incredibly attractive to men. Here's what happens in his mind. When he feels like he's choosing to be with you, not obligated to be with you, suddenly the whole dynamic shifts. He starts to feel protective of the relationship. He starts to feel like he needs to lock you down before someone else does. He starts to move toward commitment, not because you're pushing for it, but because he's afraid of losing the option. This is how high-value women get men to chase commitment instead of running from it. Think about how this plays out in real life. When he suggests plans and you say, yes, but you also have your own plans that sometimes come first, he notices. When he doesn't text for a day and you don't freak out because you were busy with your own life anyway, he notices. When he sees that you're not rearranging everything to accommodate him, that you have your own priorities, your own schedule, your own world, he starts to realize that being with you is a privilege, not a guarantee. And that realization is what shifts him from casual interest to genuine obsession. But here's where most women completely destroy their chances. They do things that scream low value without even realizing it. And I need to break these down for you because if you're making these mistakes, nothing else matters. You could be the most amazing woman in the world, but these behaviors will push any man away. The first mistake is over-functioning in the early stages. This means doing too much too soon, texting first all the time, planning all the dates, being overly available, giving too much of your time and energy before he's earned it. When you do this, you're basically telling him that you're more invested than he is, and that kills attraction instantly. Men need to feel like they're winning you over, not like you're already won. When you hand yourself over too easily, there's no chase, there's no challenge, there's nothing for him to work toward. I see this happen all the time. A woman meets a guy she really likes, and because she's excited, she starts doing everything. She's initiating all the conversations. She's making herself available whenever he wants to see her, even if it means canceling other plans. She's being super accommodating and flexible, and she thinks this is showing him how much she likes him. But what it's actually showing him is that he doesn't have to work for your attention, that you'll always be there. And when something is always available, it loses its value. The second mistake is losing yourself in the relationship. This happens when you start canceling your plans to see him, when you drop your hobbies because he doesn't do them, when you stop seeing your friends as much, when your whole life starts revolving around him. And at first, he might seem to like all the attention, but over time, he starts to feel suffocated. He starts to feel like you don't have your own life, and that's not attractive. High-value women keep their own lives even when they're in a relationship. They don't merge into him, they stay themselves. Here's what this looks like in practice. Your friends want to go out on Friday night, but he mentioned maybe doing something, so you tell your friends no just in case he makes plans. But then he doesn't end up making plans. And now you're sitting home alone while your friends are out having fun. Or you used to go to yoga 3 times a week, but he's not into yoga. So you stop going because you'd rather spend that time with him. These small choices add up, and over time you become a smaller version of yourself. You lose the things that made you interesting and fulfilled. And he notices. He might not say anything, but he feels the shift. The third mistake is chasing reassurance. This is when you constantly need him to tell you he likes you. When you ask questions like, where is this going? What are we? Do you still like me? Is everything okay? These questions come from insecurity, and insecurity is the opposite of high value. When you need constant reassurance, you're telling him that you don't trust what's happening between you. You're telling him that you need him to validate you. And that neediness pushes men away faster than almost anything else. The thing about reassurance is that it's a bottomless pit. If you need him to tell you he likes you today, you'll need him to tell you again tomorrow and the day after that. Because the reassurance doesn't actually fix the insecurity. It just temporarily covers it up. And men can sense this. They can feel that no matter what they say, it's never going to be enough. And that feeling is exhausting for them. The fourth mistake is reacting emotionally to everything he does. When he doesn't text back right away and you send multiple messages. When he seems distant and you immediately assume the worst. When he cancels plans and you get upset instead of just rescheduling. These emotional reactions make you seem unstable. They make him feel like he's walking on eggshells. And men don't want to feel like that. They want to feel like you're steady, like you're not going to fall apart over small things. I get it. When you really like someone, their actions affect you. But there's a difference between having feelings and letting those feelings control your behavior. A high-value woman might feel disappointed when he cancels plans, but she doesn't make a big deal out of it. She just says, okay, let me know when you're free. And then she makes other plans. She doesn't sit around sulking or send passive-aggressive texts. She just moves on with her day. The fifth mistake is trying to lock him down too early. This is when you start talking about the future before he's ready. When you try to get him to commit before he's emotionally invested. When you push for labels and definitions before the relationship has naturally evolved to that point. This pressure makes men run because it makes them feel like you're more concerned with having a boyfriend than actually getting to know them as a person. Think about it from his perspective. You've been dating for a few weeks. Things are going well. He's enjoying getting to know you. But then you start asking where this is going. You start hinting about being exclusive. You start making comments about the future. And suddenly, what felt fun and natural starts to feel heavy and pressured. He's not ready to make those decisions yet. He's still figuring out how he feels. And now he feels like he has to either commit or walk away. And often, he chooses to walk away. And the biggest mistake of all is not having your own life. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. When you don't have your own friends, your own hobbies, your own goals, your own happiness, you become completely dependent on him for all of that. And that dependency is suffocating. Men are attracted to women who are already happy, who already have full lives, who are inviting him to join something good, not asking him to be everything. A woman who has her own life is magnetic. She has stories to tell because she's actually doing things. She has energy and excitement because she's pursuing things that matter to her. She has depth because she's growing and evolving as a person. And when a man spends time with her, he gets to be part of that world. He gets to see her light up when she talks about her passions. He gets to experience her joy when she accomplishes something. And that's attractive. That's what creates obsession. So, how do you actually become a high-value woman who triggers obsession? It's not about doing specific things or following rules. It's about shifting how you see yourself and how you move through the world. It starts with understanding that your value doesn't come from a man choosing you. Your value exists whether he sees it or not. And when you truly believe that, everything changes. You stop trying to convince men you're worth it. You stop overgiving to prove yourself. You stop shrinking yourself to make him comfortable. You just live your life in a way that feels good to you. You have standards and you stick to them. You stay emotionally stable because your happiness comes from inside you, not from his attention. You give him space to choose you because you're not desperate for him to choose you. And here's what happens when you do this. Men start to notice you differently. They start to feel something around you that they don't feel with other women. It's not pressure. It's not neediness. It's not expectation. It's just ease, freedom, the feeling that they can be themselves, the feeling that you're not trying to trap them or change them or control them. You're just being you. And if they want to be part of your world, they have to step up. This is when men start pursuing hard. This is when they start planning dates, texting first, making effort, talking about the future, introducing you to friends and family because they're afraid of losing you. Not because you're playing games or being manipulative, but because you're genuinely someone who adds value to their life without needing them to complete yours. Here's something else that happens when you become truly high value. You stop attracting the wrong men. Because the men who are looking for someone they can control, someone who's desperate, someone who will accept bad behavior, they don't stick around. They can sense that you're not that woman, and they move on to find someone else. And that's a good thing, because you don't want those men anyway. The men who are attracted to your high-value energy are men who are ready for something real. Men who want a partner, not a fan. Men who are looking for a woman they can build with, not someone they can use. By now, you can see that being high value has nothing to do with what most people teach. It's not about acting a certain way or following dating rules. It's about genuinely being a woman who knows her worth, lives her own life, and doesn't need a man to validate her. When you become that woman, you don't have to trigger obsession. It happens naturally. Men can't help but be drawn to you because you're different from every other woman they've met. Think about why. Here you are right now. Maybe you're talking to someone and you're not sure if he's really interested. Maybe you just got out of a relationship and you're trying to figure out what went wrong. Maybe you're single and preparing for the next person who comes into your life. Wherever you are, this is your moment to shift. To stop chasing and start attracting. To stop proving and start being. To stop worrying about his obsession and start focusing on your own life. Here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. The women men become obsessed with aren't worried about making men obsessed. They're too busy living lives they love. They're too focused on their own happiness. They're too confident in their own value to chase anyone. And that confidence, that self-assuredness, that energy of not needing him is what makes him need you. If this gave you a new way of seeing things, if this made something click that wasn't clear before, here's what to do next. First, hit that like button. It tells me this actually helped you and it helps other women find this video too. Second, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to understanding men and building the kind of attraction that lasts. And finally, leave a comment below. Tell me which part hit hardest for you. Tell me where you are in your journey right now. I read every single comment and I want to hear your story. Remember this, you don't need to become someone different to be high value. You just need to stop dimming yourself down. Stop chasing, stop proving, stop needing validation from men who haven't earned the right to give it. The right man doesn't fall for a performance. He falls for the real you, the confident you, the you who knows what she brings to the table and doesn't need to announce it. When you step into that version of yourself, you won't have to wonder if he's obsessed. His actions will show you. His effort will prove it. His consistency will make it obvious. That's when you know you've become the kind of woman men don't just want, they obsess over. This is your time to step into that power and watch everything shift.